You claim, as per your affirmative, that the United States is experiencing a global recession. You also state that your plan will stimulate job growth. According to the most optimistic evidence that you cite, building one nuclear reprocessing plant will take 10 years. Furthermore, your money will be used to research and refine the reprocessing methodology before construction, and you have to apply for and receive licensing permission from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which will take years. Our evidence also indicates that we will not be able to start construction on the first prototype reactor until 2020. Commercial implementation will begin 10 years after this initial phase. Given that the implementation is 20 years away, how can you have any significant impact on the current economic crisis?
I'll answer this one.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessarily true. The affirmative, or the negative, likes to talk about how we don't have the ability to create nuclear plants. But I mean, the point of our case is that we've shown internationally, lots of countries are already starting to develop their own nuclear plants, which obviously shows that there is some commercial viability to the situation. Furthermore, even if we don't manage to create these new plants right away, they won't immediately come online. The fact of the matter is construction jobs, design jobs, many of these engineering, architecture, I mean, all of this is really, really important in creating nuclear plants. These jobs will be created immediately after the plant and immediately as soon as someone wants to invest in a nuclear power plant. So I think that the economic recession will, this plan will most certainly just create jobs right off the bat.
Okay. Another question from the affirmative to the negative.
All right, for the third question, as we well know, the U.S. economy is currently in a recession. Given that the RPS would force companies to spend billions on developing RPS-friendly energies that are not nearly as effective as nuclear power, how can you justify putting this burden on the energy market when it will be inevitably cause economic collapse?
Negative?
Okay. That's a good question. However, when you take in consideration that RPS starts now, and that means when we put up these, when we do wind power farms, et cetera, that would create jobs right off the bat, as they claim. But then they've never specified, like in their own advocacy, it says that it will take 10 years. It will be at least 2020 before the first nuclear plant will be created. So inherently, like, if you consider that the affirmative will not have jobs created until after 2020 because the nuclear plant won't even be up until 2020 earliest. So therefore, the counterplan, the RPS, will innately have more jobs produced because of the workers that will work at these new wind farms, these new solar plants, et cetera. So therefore, yes, the counterplan does have more jobs.
Now the final question.
For Team Plano, your own Pomper evidence indicates that not all radioactive waste can be recycled. Furthermore, the Union of Concerned Scientists agree that reprocessing produces its own waste, and that the waste is sometimes more toxic and radioactive. Even assuming that you can reprocess half of the waste currently existing in U.S. repositories over, say, the next 50 years, how can your plan be called a solution? Wouldn't we have twice the amount of waste anyway, since we would double the amount of time we are using nuclear power to 2050? And how much space and time do you really buy us for dealing with the waste problem? And what is your final solution for this ever-growing problem of dealing with a toxic substance that has a half-life of over 10,000 years?
Okay. Our evidence indicates that reprocessing effectively reduces the amount of waste created by nuclear power by about 98%. This means that the amount of waste that is created from nuclear power is about 2% of what it is currently. So to double the amount of waste that we currently have, you would have to have a lot. Yeah. I don't know the exact number, I don't feel like doing the math, but the point is the increase that would have to be there to create this double that you're talking about is outrageously high. Also, like, France has proven that they have developed technologies for nuclear reprocessing that doesn't create this highly toxic waste that your scientists say might possibly occur. The fact that France has developed these technologies and that the technology exists right now and is available proves that it is possible to do this safely.